I originally planned on discussing this when I made my Kung Fu Panda 4 video, but a recent interaction on Twitter forced my hand. Thank you, Dragon Warrior, for inspiring this video. A video I never planned on making, but here we are. Now then, let's address something else first, because one of the things he kept bringing up is Po, even though his situation and his character and writing was handled and completely different from Zhen. So let's discuss Po in the first movie, and then we go over Zhen, if I'm even saying her name right, and discuss the differences and how one was done better than the other. In the first movie, the lesson is about not judging a book by its cover, and that you're not who others see you as, and if given the chance can be so much more than how you're depicted as. Po was just a panda working at his father's noodle restaurant, loved kung fu, and dreamed of becoming a master. Fast forwarding a bit, Oogway was going to choose the Dragon Warrior, and Po was unable to get in, blah blah blah, and after launching himself with fireworks and falling into the Jade Palace grounds, he was chosen by Oogway, who saw potential in Po even though Shifu clearly didn't approve. Po embarrasses himself at training, the Furious Five talking about him, making fun of his weight, etc., thinking Oogway should have picked someone who actually knew Kung Fu, or could at least touch his toes. After a chat with Oogway, gaining some advice, he decides not to quit and keep going despite the harsh treatment. Continuing to fail and take a beating, he refused to quit. Shifu continued to doubt Po would amount to anything and shouldn't have been the Dragon Warrior in the first place, but Oogway convinced him to believe. After witnessing what Po can be capable of, with the right motivation, he realized there is truth behind Oogway's words and he may be right. After finding out that food helps motivate him and bring out his potential, he trained him with food. As time went on, Po improved and eventually mastered Kung Fu, proving that he is what Oogway saw what he could be. Just because he was a fat panda who didn't know Kung Fu doesn't mean you can't give him a chance. Looks can be deceiving, and when he was given that chance, he mastered Kung Fu and even beat Tai Lung, learning the secret of the Dragon Scroll. There's no magic scroll or mystical powers that can make you who you are. It's just you. Only you can be the best you. You define who you are and what you want to be. Not some scroll or approval of a master. He never gave up. He had no darkness in his heart, unlike Tai Lung. He earned his title. His writing was handled properly and his character was developed nicely, and it only got better as the movies went on as he learned who he is as the Dragon Warrior. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's go to Zhen. Let me point out that it turns out Kung Fu Panda 4 was done by a brand new writer who was never a part of the other three Kung Fu Panda movies, Jonathan Abel. So if you're wondering why the movie's writing wasn't as good as the others, this is why. Zhen, a white fox, established right away that she is a thief and mischievous. Yet due to not knowing the location of the chameleon, Po had to trust her to find his way. Learning their morals were completely different, and she constantly tries to steal and or swindle people. Then later on finds out she was lying to him and was with the chameleon all along, trapping him and leading him there to get the staff from him so chameleon can open a portal to the spirit realm. He was betrayed and lied to. He trusted her when he shouldn't have, but he was too trusting and too kind-hearted to consider it. Plus, he still needed her help, but he let his guard down and trusted her too much. He manages to get out, but is fooled by Zhen again. He trusted her and it turned out to be Chameleon in disguise. But the real Zhen shows up last minute, too late to reveal it's not her. Now she suddenly feels bad and we're supposed to care? Suddenly she has a change of heart, cause why? But that's not the subject of the video. Zhen finds Po alive and tries to fight him to keep him from fighting Chameleon, who is made out to be this big bad villain who will guarantee his death. She hugs him at the end of the little skirmish, not wanting to go, but he does anyway. Long story short, they end up working together. She somehow does the Chi Dragon, even though it's somewhat unique to Po, and now Zhen somehow knows how to use Chi? It's not an ability limited to the staff. You actually need to learn how to use Chi to do it, and yet somehow Zhen was not only able to copy his moves perfectly, but used Chi, cause why not, right? Then when it's all over, Po chooses to pass the torch of the Dragon Warrior to Zhen, who he only got to know in what, 3 days? Despite lying to him, but she had a change of heart. Make her the Dragon Warrior instead of a certain warrior he had plenty of time to know and is far more worthy of being the next Dragon Warrior. But who needs her? We got this new Fox character we barely got to know, and suddenly we need to care about as she takes Poe's place as the new main character. Funny how Shifu knows this is a load of bull as well. Now that that's over with, let's discuss the differences in their writing. In the first movie, Poe was given the title of Dragon Warrior early. He had expectations to meet and was rejected time and time again, failing rapidly. The plot and characters had plenty of time to develop, everyone is learning important lessons, etc. Poe earned his title as a Dragon Warrior and showed the potential that Oogway saw in him and proved he is more than what people see him as. Zhen, however, is a wanted criminal, been a thief her entire life and even served the chameleon. She lied to Poe. Poe saw firsthand she steals despite him telling her to stop, swindles people in the game, and somehow hides everything in her tail. Then he finds out it was all a trick to lure him there and have him give away the staff that turns out to be a key to the spirit realm, even though it wasn't exactly properly established in the third movie that it was. You see Poe use it to leave, but it comes off as just the power of chi. Kai was able to get out on his own without it, and apparently there's two because Oogway has a bigger one. So really it comes across as just a jade staff for masters of chi or whatever. Now it's a key to the spirit realm? I realized as I was writing this I was getting off topic, but goes to show that DreamWorks should not have had a new writer thrown in for a movie franchise that has 3 movies established. Anyway, despite everything, Zhen was given the title of the Dragon Warrior by the end of the movie because she had a change of heart? Zhen has wasted potential. The problem almost everyone has with her is she gets everything handed to her and is far from worthy, and only gets a role because the writing said so, unlike Poe, who proved himself worthy. Despite betraying him, he gives her the title anyway. It's the events that led up to this decision that is the problem. Zhen was obviously made to be a replacement for Poe in Kung Fu Panda 5 and beyond, but since she's new, we're somehow expected to somehow immediately like her and root for her regardless. She's suddenly the Dragon Warrior just because, despite Tigress, who not only Poe got to know more and is way past worthy and would have been a far better choice for the plot, gets the boot, and instead Zhen gets it, who is a brand new character and has so far been shown to be mischievous and a thief. Yet we need to care because sad puppy IQ Fox could have sad backstory. The writing for her character really needed to be handled better. There is potential in this character, but they took the wrong approach. There could be better ways to go with her character arc and make her more worthy. She could take another page out of Poe's wiki and have the chameleon be the reason she's an orphan. Kinda like what Zhen did to the pandas, although Poe's dad survived, but you know what I mean. And kept her to manipulate her and train her to be a weapon she can wield. Chameleon being the reason she's good at being a thief or at the very least have low morals. Her perspective of the world being manipulated, instead of the teachings Chameleon gave her about trust, etc., would be something Zhen learned herself, something she goes by. Perhaps people who took care of her would use it for their own gain, like she's stealthy so they're like, go steal this from me, or just mistreated her and they all broke her trust over and over. Chameleon then finds her and leads her to believe she is the only one who actually genuinely cares. Either way, she would have her own morals about not trusting anyone. But as she spends time around Poe, she would start to slowly realize it's not the case. Later on in the movie, she learns that Chameleon isn't the kind mother figure she thought she was, and doesn't fight Poe or stops him in fight, refusing to kill him when demanded. Then Chameleon, in her frustration, revealing that she should never have taken Zhen in, and left her to die with her parents. Zhen would realize everything she knew was wrong, and Chameleon lied about everything. It would be her decision to change. Poe being a good example that the world isn't as cruel, and people can be trusted. Not everyone is bad. She would take the fight to Chameleon. She'd hold her own for a while, using her own skills she developed growing up to outmaneuver Chameleon and her attacks. Able to land some blows, but finds out with her sorcery, mixed with all the kung fu skills she took from the other masters, she can't win, and she would start taking a beating, like things would start to look bad and look grim, the hero is on a thread, yada yada yada. Poe would save her, and they'd agree to work together. Trusting Poe's advice and suggestions, they would use things to their advantage, maybe tricks they learned when together and use them as an offensive, which works due to unpredictability and creativity. At the end, Zhen expresses regret, but Po tells her that she's more than what others see, even herself. He offers her a place at the Jade Palace, but in this story, she won't be given the Dragon Warrior title. It'd be a continued plot for a while. But Zhen would be given the chance to start off fresh and do some good for the people and the world. She would be seen as a hero instead of a lowly thief. A second chance. While I still stand by the belief that Tigress should have been the next Dragon Warrior, but if they're so determined to make Zhen the new Dragon Warrior, they should build it up further instead of cramming it all in one movie and just handing her the title despite her crimes and past actions. She won't take Po's place, but she'd be the third. I say third important character because, let's face it, Tigress and Po had good chemistry and their heart-to-heart moments in Kung Fu Panda 2 were just so good. So I'd keep Tigress in the second protagonist role for stuff like that. But perhaps instead of Po, she'd do it for Zhen. I don't know what she would say or do, but perhaps just there to pick her up, not literally, when she's down. Though I'd reserve that for Po, and Po would be the one to advise Zhen in her moments of doubt. Zhen would learn her own lessons about herself and who and or what she is meant to be. If Zhen is really pushed and needs to be an important character in the future, then I'd do something with Zhen like for Po in the second and third movie. Po could have plans of making her the next Dragon Warrior, but she isn't ready. In the second movie, aka the fifth movie, she'd feel entitled thinking she learned Kung Fu and there's nothing else she can do to earn it, and that she's entitled to it. It's hers, like, I learned all I need to know, I think I've earned at this point. And Po tells her there's more to it than just beating people up, something he learned himself. A lesson in time she would learn. By the third movie, I'd say at the end she would finally earn the title and Po would hand her the Dragon Scroll, saying it's something he kept when he first became the Dragon Warrior, and now, like the title, passes it on to her, signifying her place as the new Dragon Warrior, and it'd end with a final scene of a new villain. Zhen would show up and he or she would ask who she is. She'd say her name is Zhen, and she, then the Furious Five, would drop down behind her and take a pose behind her, followed by her saying, "Is the Dragon Warrior." And they charge and credits roll, the end of the Kung Fu Panda series. As much as I'd love to give more ideas for the next two movies and how I do it, is not the point of this video. This video was to show the differences in the writing and how Zhen wasn't handled as well as Po was. Things were rushed, and she didn't do anything special to deserve the title of the Dragon Warrior, other than it being how Jonathan wrote it. Po was built up to show he does deserve the role. Zhen, despite being a thief and stealing left and right and betraying Po, is just like, yeah, let's give her the title, cause fuck it. So many people, including myself, felt like she didn't deserve it. But if they didn't give it to her so soon and went with my idea of having it built up throughout the movies, would have been better. She earns it throughout the movies until finally getting it. We would get more time to adapt to this new character, learn more about her, and grow to like her as we watch her develop and grow, learning new things. It would avoid her being a Mary Sue and could lead her to becoming more likable. All it takes is good writing. Zhen has potential, but it was ruined by lazy writing. Zhen just knew Kung Fu and was given the title. She didn't work for it or earn it. Tigress was friends with Po for a long time. He got to know her. She was expected to be the Dragon Warrior first before Po dropped in. Po can definitely trust her, unlike Zhen. She is a master of Kung Fu, well known, good morals, overall has all the qualities. For other people, she's known and loved and has done enough to prove that she deserves it. It suits her. But instead, we got this new fox that we just got introduced to and is like, hey, she's the new Dragon Warrior. You really expect the audience to care after everything? You really think that giving her a backstory with her being a cute kid would be enough for us to be okay with it? Why would we care about this new character who has done nothing to prove she's worthy? Just because she had a change of heart at the end doesn't mean anything. That's not enough to make up for everything she did from the beginning of the movie to that point. If they just handled her character differently, then us fans wouldn't feel this way. But it comes across as lazy. Just giving her everything. Let the title of Dragon Warrior be the end goal. Something to build up. Give us a journey instead of a hand-me-down. Let us, the audience, get to know her and grow to care about her character as she develops. Hopefully this will help not only give Dragon Warrior a better idea and perspective, but for others too. I'll say this one more time. It's about how you approach the plot and write it out. If you don't do it right, it will come across as bad and or lazy writing. The audience won't be satisfied. All they did was do a hand-me-down. There was no journey. There was nothing to earn the title. They just gave it to her because the writing said so. I'd explain more, but I feel like it's best saved for the review instead of a video about the differences between good and writing. I've already gone off topic as it is. I feel like I didn't properly explain it. Though I hope I gave a good idea how the good writing should be compared to what we got. Look, my point is Poe was handled better in the very first movie. He had to work for it and built up for it to prove that he did deserve it and that Oogway was right about him, and Shifu just had to believe. But Zhen, the entire time, she was either stealing, manipulating, or betraying Poe. And just because she had a change of heart at the end, suddenly, oh, yeah, okay, you deserve to be the next Dragon Warrior, because why the hell not? I mean, what kind of writing is that? Anyway, that's all I got. I feel like this video is going to be ignored, but I had to go through with it anyway because I already got started on the script and so on. So hopefully it won't be pointless and he'll see it all to the end, and everyone else will agree with me that Zhen should have been handled better. There's potential, but it was wasted. Anyway, I'll see you all in the next one. Farewell, everybody.